Chapter 10. Tola. Tola, son of Puah, the son of Doda, was next after Abimelech. He rose to the occasion to save Israel. He was a man of Issachar. He lived in Shamir in the hill country of Ephraim. He judged Israel for 23 years and then died and was buried at Shamir. Jair. After him, Jair the Gileadite stepped into leadership. He judged Israel for 22 years. He had 30 sons who rode on 30 donkeys and had 30 towns in Gilead. The towns are still called Jair's villages. Jair died and was buried in Canaan. And then the people of Israel went back to doing evil in God's sight. They worshipped the Baal gods and Ashtoreth goddesses, gods of Aram, Sidon, and Moab, gods of the Ammonites and the Philistines. They just walked off and left God, quit worshiping him. And God exploded in hot anger at Israel and sold them off to the Philistines and Ammonites who, beginning that year, bullied and battered the people of Israel mercilessly. For 18 years they had them under their thumb, all the people of Israel who lived east of the Jordan in the Amorite country of Gilead. Then the Ammonites crossed the Jordan to go to war also against Judah, Benjamin, and Ephraim. Israel was in a bad way. The people of Israel cried out to God for help. "We've sinned against you. We've left our God and worshipped the Baal gods." God answered the people of Israel. When the Egyptians, Amorites, Ammonites, Philistines, Sidonians, even Amalek and Midian oppressed you and you cried out to help for me, I saved you from them. And now you've gone off and betrayed me, worshipping other gods. I'm not saving you anymore. Go ahead, cry out for help to the gods you've chosen. Let them get you out of the mess you're in. The people of Israel said to God, "We've sinned. Do to us whatever you think best, but please get us out of this." Then they cleaned house of the foreign gods and worshipped only God. And God took Israel's troubles to heart. Jephthah. The Ammonites prepared for war, setting camp in Gilead. The people of Israel set their rival camp in Mizpah. The leaders in Gilead said, "Who will stand up for us against the Ammonites? We'll make him head over everyone in Gilead." Chapter 11. Jephthah the Gileadite was one tough warrior. He was the son of a whore, but Gilead was his father. Meanwhile, Gilead's legal wife had given him other sons, and when they grew up, his wife's sons threw Jephthah out. They told him, "You're not getting any of our family inheritance. You're the son of another woman." So Jephthah fled from his brothers and went to live in the land of Tob. Some riffraff joined him and went around with him. Some time passed, and then the Ammonites started fighting Israel. With the Ammonites at war with them, the elders of Gilead went to get Jephthah from the land of Tob. They said to Jephthah, "Come, be our general, and we'll fight the Ammonites." But Jephthah said to the elders of Gilead, "But you hate me. You kicked me out of my family home. So why are you coming to me now? Because you're in trouble, right?" The elders of Gilead replied, "That's it exactly. We've come to you to get you to go with us and fight the Ammonites. You'll be the head of all of us, all the Gileadites." Jephthah addressed the elders of Gilead. "So, if you bring me back home to fight the Ammonites and God gives them to me, I'll be your head, is that right?" They said, "God is witness between us. Whatever you say, we'll do." Jephthah went along with the elders of Gilead. The people made him their top man and general. And Jephthah repeated what he had said before God at Mizpah. Then Jephthah sent messengers to the king of the Ammonites with a message. "What's going on here that you have come into my country picking a fight?" The king of the Ammonites told Jephthah's messengers, "Because Israel took my land when they came up out of Egypt, from the Arnon all the way to the Jabbok and to the Jordan. Give it back peaceably, and I'll go." Jephthah again sent messengers to the king of the Ammonites with the message. Jephthah's word: Israel took no Moabite land and no Ammonite land. When they came up from Egypt, Israel went through the desert as far as the Red Sea, arriving at Kadesh. There, Israel sent messengers to the king of Edom, saying, "Let us pass through your land, please." But the king of Edom wouldn't let them. Israel also requested permission from the king of Moab, but he wouldn't let them cross either. They were stopped in their tracks at Kadesh. So they traveled across the desert and circled around the lands of Edom and Moab. They came out east of the land of Moab and set camp on the other side of the Arnon. They didn't set foot in Moabite territory, for Arnon was the Moabite border. Israel then sent messengers to Sihon, king of the Amorites, at Heshbon, the capital. Israel asked, "Let us pass, please, through your land on the way to our country." But Sihon didn't trust Israel to cut across his land. He got his entire army together, set up camp at Jahaz, and fought Israel. But God, the God of Israel, gave Sihon and all his troops to Israel. Israel defeated them. Israel took all the Amorite land, all Amorite land from Arnon to the Jabbok, and from the desert to the Jordan. It was God, the God of Israel, who pushed out the Amorites in favor of Israel. So who do you think you are to try to take it over? Why don't you just be satisfied with what your god Chemosh gives you, and we'll settle for what God, our God, gives us? Do you think you're going to come off better than Balak, son of Zippor, the king of Moab? Did he get anywhere in opposing Israel? Did he risk war? All this time, it's been 300 years now that Israel has lived in Heshbon and its villages, in Aroer and its villages, and in all the towns along the Arnon. Why didn't you try to snatch them away then? No, I haven't wronged you, but this is an evil thing that you are doing to me by starting a fight today. God the judge will decide between the people of Israel and the people of Ammon. But the king of the Ammonites refused to listen to a word that Jephthah had sent him. God's spirit came upon Jephthah. He went across Gilead and Manasseh, went through Mizpah of Gilead, and from there approached the Ammonites. Jephthah made a vow before God. "If you give me a clear victory over the Ammonites, then I'll give to God whatever comes out of the door of my house to meet me when I return in one piece from among the Ammonites. I'll offer it up in a sacrificial burnt offering." Then Jephthah was off to fight the Ammonites, and God gave them to him. He beat them soundly, all the way from Aroer to the area around Minnith as far as Abel-Keramim. 20 cities. A massacre. Ammonites brought to their knees by the people of Israel. Jephthah came home to Mizpah. His daughter ran from the house to welcome him home, dancing to tambourines. She was his only child. He had no son or daughter except her. When he realized who it was, he ripped his clothes, saying, "Dearest daughter, I'm dirt. I'm despicable. My heart is torn to shreds. I made a vow to God, and I can't take it back." She said, "Dear father, if you made a vow to God, do to me what you vowed. God did his part and saved you from your Ammonite enemies." And then she said to her father, "But let this one thing be done for me. Give me 2 months to wander through the hills and lament my virginity, since I will never marry, I and my dear friends." "Oh, yes, go," he said. He sent her off for 2 months. She and her dear girlfriends went among the hills, lamenting that she would never marry. At the end of the 2 months, she came back to her father. He fulfilled the vow with her that he had made. She had never slept with a man. It became a custom in Israel that for 4 days every year, the young women of Israel went out to mourn for the daughter of Jephthah, the Gileadite. Chapter 12. The men of Ephraim mustered their troops, crossed to Zaphon, and said to Jephthah, "Why did you go out to fight the Ammonites without letting us go with you? We're going to burn your house down on you." Jephthah said, "I and my people had our hands full negotiating with the Ammonites, and I did call to you for help, but you ignored me. When I saw that you weren't coming, I took my life in my hands and confronted the Ammonites myself, and God gave them to me. So why did you show up here today? Are you spoiling for a fight with me?" So Jephthah got his Gilead troops together and fought Ephraim. And the men of Gilead hit them hard because they were saying, "Gileadites are nothing but half-breeds and rejects from Ephraim and Manasseh." Gilead captured the fords of the Jordan at the crossing to Ephraim. If an Ephraimite fugitive said, "Let me cross," the men of Gilead would ask, "Are you an Ephraimite?" And he would say, "No." And they would say, "Say Shibboleth." But he would always say Sibboleth. He couldn't say it right. Then they would grab him and kill him there at the fords of the Jordan. 42 Ephraimite divisions were killed on that occasion. Jephthah judged Israel 6 years. Jephthah, the Gileadite, died and was buried in his city, Mizpah of Gilead. Ibzan. After him, Ibzan of Bethlehem judged Israel. He had 30 sons and 30 daughters. He gave his daughters in marriage outside his clan and brought in 30 daughters-in-law from the outside for his sons. He judged Israel 7 years. Ibzan died and was buried in Bethlehem. Elon. After him, Elon the Zebulunite judged Israel. He judged Israel 10 years. Elon the Zebulunite died and was buried at Aijalon in the land of Zebulun. Abdon. After him, Abdon, son of Hillel the Pirathonite, judged Israel. He had 40 sons and 30 grandsons who rode on 70 donkeys. He judged Israel 8 years. Abdon, son of Hillel the Pirathonite, died and was buried at Pirathon in the land of Ephraim in the Amalekite hill country.